This is part 2 of the Westward article that was written March 2nd, 2025. This is sick. This is the one that started off with the CEO of Palantir saying, I love the idea of getting a drone and having light fentanyl-laced urine spraying on the analysts who decide to screw with us. That's coming from the CEO of Palantir, the company helped to create by Peter Thiel, supporter of J.D. Vance, bankroller of J.D. Vance his entire career. Part 2. One of the only truly provocative challenges to this administration and its actions has come from the mayor of Denver, Mike Johnston. He suggested in a Denverite interview that Denver police, as well as citizens, could band together to prevent federal immigration authorities from deporting undocumented immigrants rather than compromise our national values. He's been called to testify before a congressional committee this week because of those comments. Governor Jared Polis and other state officials should join in support of Johnston. Further, they need to refuse to support DOGE and its continued funding project protect individuals who speak out against the exploitive practices of corporations and nationalist politicians and help bring accountability to companies like Palantir. We as a state need to live up to the legacy of Governor Ralph Lawrence Carr, an important historical figure to remember. Carr defied other state governors and challenged the federal government during World War II, calling out Japanese internment as unconstitutional and offering respectful asylum and dignity for those deported from the West Coast to Camp Amachi, a monument threatened by Trump's anti-DEI budget cuts. There was a time when I thought exploring and communicating the furthest reaches of big data technologies could help me deliver solutions for people's everyday problems and help shape society for the better. Over time, however, I increasingly felt as if I was participating in a massive lie to businesses, the public, and even to myself. Now I feel like I could have been heralding the cusp of something much bigger: mass exploitation, inequality, and death on a scale never seen before. This is an effort to prevent that. As a freelance journalist, an immigrant, and a citizen with Ecuadorian, American, and Russian Ukrainian heritage, whose great-grandparents crossed through the Golden Gates of Ellis Island and the Port of Philadelphia, I don't want to live in a country where you have to be worried about voicing these fears or about challenging those in power in support of democracy. This is not the America I sought to immigrate to, but more akin to the totalitarian governments I experienced many times growing up in Ecuador. I am speaking out without fear, as I don't believe we are there yet. I'm going to remind you that these people, this journalist, he said, my understanding has been immensely helped by the fact that I had a seat behind the curtain. Following the coronavirus pandemic, I spent a year and a half working as a writer and graphic designer at Palantir Technologies in its headquarters in Denver. As an English major, I thought I might have had little to contribute in the grand scheme of things. But as reviewers of the Technological Republic and many former employees have recently realized, the key behind Palantir's success and its ability to build an elite loyal following of engineers and advocates might owe as much to its technical prowess as to its effective marshaling of language and cult-like shibboleths. As Joe Gantz recently pointed out in a scathing review of the Technological Republic, Karp, in both his PhD dissertation thesis, curiously titled, listen to the title of this dissertation, Aggression in the Life World, expanding Parsons' concept of aggression through the description of the relationship between jargon, aggression, and culture. And in his recent writing in the Technological Republic, shows expertise in the kind of propagandistic jargon that abjures rational discussion and plays on the aggressive feelings of the crowd. In essence, deploying language manipulatively to confuse and rile up followers and opponents. The Palantir CEO has even gone so far as to describe the company's culture as Germanic. He talks about, how there might be time to change course. While the officers of Palantir and the administration were spreading hateful rhetoric on social media last week, 21 members of DOGE resigned in protest, issuing a public letter in support of democracy. We swore to serve the American people and uphold our oath to the Constitution across those commitments. The staffers wrote in a joint resignation letter, a copy of which was obtained by the AP. The same day, I shared a protest letter calling out Palantir leadership for flagrant violations of his code of conduct, authored with the support and feedback of more than 15 initial supporters with the Palantir Alumni Slack group, the same group in which Doge was recently caught recruiting. We are now collecting signatures, and I encourage any Palantir alumni to reach out in support in order to finalize and publish the message, a call for tech workers in Silicon Valley to not be afraid to speak out and act against actions they perceive as violating the principles of democracy, egalitarianism, and human rights. This is it, y'all. These concerning events have placed Colorado, the home of Palantir Technologies, at the center of a fight not only for our democracy, but over the exploitation enabled by the mass adoption of AI technologies in society and warfare. In a state where Mexican and American families have been linked for generations, Palantir and other companies like Amazon, Microsoft, and Dell have equipped immigration and customs enforcement and border patrol with military-grade digital tools that they need to commit atrocities along the southern border and in the interior. Now they are ready to profit in a program of mass incarceration and deportation of a historical scale that could devastate thousands of our neighbors and their families. Pay attention, folks. Palantir and Peter Thiel. They're behind a lot of the technologies that ICE is now adopting to cause atrocities along our southern border.